Hi everyone, I'm here to present Milestone 1, which is configuration management. My team is comprised of 4 members, Ami Sangvi, Harshal Gurjar, Harshal Kala, and me Payal Chera. So we've already set up the Vagrant machines. We've set up one machine which is going to be our client with Ansible and another machine which is going to be our Jenkins server. The client machine is Ubuntu Trusty and the Jenkins server is Ubuntu Xenial, which is 16.04. So I've already cloned the folder, the Milestone1 folder. And so let me run the Ansible script and then we can talk more. So here it's asking me for the GitHub username. This is because we need to clone iTrust, and iTrust is on the NCSU repository and it's accessible only to NCSU users. Also here it's asking me for an AWS access key. For ease of purposes right now I've kept it non-private, but this key is only temporary and I will be deleting the key immediately after the video. We need this because we are provisioning the VMs in the post-build actions using AWS. So what does this Jenkins.yaml do? What this Jenkins.yaml does is it installs all dependencies for Jenkins. Then it installs Jenkins. It disables the security. First it disables the setup wizard. Then it disables the security. Then using config.xml files that we have created, which are present in the GitHub repo, it creates jobs for both checkbox.io and iTrust. The next thing that it does is it builds those jobs. Now building those jobs then triggers a post-build action. The post-build action runs another Ansible script, and that Ansible script will provision a VM, and it will create an in-memory host file, and after all the hosts that are there in that in-memory host file, we will run another Ansible script on them, basically an Ansible play, which will install all the dependencies for that particular project and deploy the project. So let me pause the video for now and let's come back when more of it is run. While this is running, let me talk about a couple of things. One is that we've not hard-coded any credentials like the GitHub username and password and the AWS username and password. What we've done is we've used Groovy files using the prompted username and password and AWS keys that we entered at the start of the Ansible playbook. What we did is we used those values as variables in the Ansible file, and we created credentials in Jenkins server using 2 Groovy files, one for GitHub and one for AWS. These are used, the GitHub credentials are used mainly to clone iTrust, and the AWS credentials are used while provisioning EC2 instances. We've renamed the iTrust folder to iTrust just to make sure that all the CSS images are rendered properly. Yeah. As you can see, we've added the key for Jenkins using apt key, and then added Jenkins to the sources.list. We've installed Jenkins and we're waiting for Jenkins service to come up. Once we do this, we've turned off the setup wizard and disabled security, and then again restarted the Jenkins service. Once we restart the Jenkins service, it will not ask for a user and ID password anymore because we've disabled the security. Now we're waiting for the service to come up. We did this, we add Jenkins user to sudo and download the Jenkins CLI jar. We are going to use the Jenkins CLI jar mainly to create jobs or run any commands on the Jenkins server. Now we are installing plugins for Git Maven. In addition, we have also installed 2 other plugins, one for AWS credentials and one for post-build tasks. Once the Jenkins service is back up after installing the plugins, you create a directory for Groovy file and copy the Groovy file. The Groovy file is create credentials.groovy. This creates the GitHub credentials. The next thing we do is we copy the Groovy file for creating AWS credentials, and we use that. Once we restart the Jenkins service, basically these Groovy files are in an etc folder, and once we restart them, the Groovy files come into effect and the credentials get created. Now we're waiting for the Jenkins service to come back up. Also installed Boto and Boto 3. Since we're going to run EC2 in the Ansible playbook on the Jenkins server, we needed Boto and Boto 3. The EC2 module requires this. We disabled strict host key checking. We've now copied two files, one for the post build job of check. Now we can see that it's been able to create job for checkbox.io, build the job, copy the configure XML for iTrust, create the job, and again build the job. So let's go to the Jenkins server and see these jobs. This is my Jenkins server. As you can see, that two jobs got created and both these jobs right now are running. Meanwhile, let's look at credentials. So if I go to credentials, here I talked about having two credentials, one for GitHub and one for AWS. These are the two credentials that got created using the Groovy files. Now let's look at the status of the jobs. Here in checkbox.io, as you can see here, the dependencies have been completely successfully installed. That is, npm install has run properly, and now it's trying to create an AWS instance. You can see an EC2 instance got created properly in checkbox.io, and this is the IP, public IP of that new EC2 instance. Now it's going to install Node.js and set up checkbox.io. See the post build task for checkbox.io. The checkbox.io is successful, and this is the IP where the app was set up. The EC2 instance app was set up. So let's go there and check. Typed in the IP here, and voila, here it is. This is checkbox.io. So now let's look at the status of iTrust. You can see for iTrust the build was successful, and now it's performing the post build task where it's creating the AWS instance and so on. So let's wait for this to complete. You can see the Ansible playbook for the post build task has run successfully, and this is the IP of the EC2 instance on which iTrust was deployed. So let's take a look. Let's go to this IP and check for iTrust. There you go. iTrust has been successfully installed. That's the end of our video today. Thank you.